I would like to talk about Initiation into Hermetics by Franz Barden. This book is, to me, the most specific book in going into transformation and becoming the controller of all 4 elements or 5 elements, and understanding the way of living and understanding the potential and the key to actually mastering a part of this life, because this life is based upon the function of the elements which are affecting us, and as we are also affecting it. So by then we feed back upon it and tend to express them in the wrong way certain times. So what I find about this book is that it actually gives you the potential to master and balance, should I say, the elements so they can work in relation to you, whereas when in the society and the life that we live in, it works the other way around. So in my understanding through, you know, the concept of how it operates, we have so much going on inside our minds that we don't understand where every thought is deriving from. And until you begin meditating and actually looking in within you, you then begin noticing the roots of thought patterns moving towards something, and you understand how each thought is actually a beginning to something which is going to lead you to something else. What I find is that going through the understanding of this book is, it gives you such a potential to evolve, but unless you go through the steps, you ain't gonna know what it is that you will find. So this book has so many layers that the layer in the book is actually beyond. So researching and going into depth is so important. So I would like to just simply talk about meditation. In step 1, we talk about meditation and mindfulness and becoming observant. Now, what is becoming observant? When we meditate, we tend to always flicker between one thought and the next. Now, the thoughts constantly move around us, move around the mind. The thoughts just keep moving around. Now, when we focus on watching the thought will begin to relax. And when I mean the thought will begin to relax, it will begin to ease, and then it will begin to disappear. Now, the problem with meditation is people tend to focus on removing the thoughts. Now, when you try to remove the thoughts from the mind will bring the thoughts back in instantly, because it's like creating a resistance. It's like water. As you relax and allow the thought to come in, then only can you begin to observe the thought, and thus all thoughts then begin disappearing. But it actually goes beyond that, because thoughts constantly move around us and come towards us and come to give us an attention to let us know that they're there and present. But the real key is to watch each thought and not judge the thought. Judging is the problem. We tend to judge. Once a thought comes in, the key is to watch the thought, whereas a judgment begins to create more thoughts. So the problem is judging. The judgment part of watching a thought begins creating other thoughts, and then thus more thoughts then elevate themselves and become created, because the judgment begins contemplation, and thinking is in contemplation. Observation is watching what is happening and not judging what is happening. So we must actually look upon the thought and allow the thought to be there. Contemplate and watch the thought for what it is. Once the thought is then contemplated and watched for what it is, then the thought then begins to dissipate. Then meditation begins to become a peaceful session. So from what I can understand is, when we practice meditation, we must learn to become observant, and observation will lead us to where we need to be. Peace, bliss, and so forth. But then there's the imbalancement of elements. The elements, fire, water, earth, are constantly doing their jobs, and they are constantly just moving about themselves and creating unbalancement between fire and air and water and earth, and constantly moving. So it's like, right, become balanced, become calm during your day. If you want your meditation to lead on and become smooth throughout day in and day out, I say become calmer, become observant, become watchful, become mindful. Stick to what you're doing in your task each day. Focus only upon what you're doing. Someone comes to do something and bugs you, just allow it and move on back to your task. And I think that is the ultimate truth towards it. Remain calm as you can, follow through, be mindful, and observe. And as you begin observing, the thoughts then start to dissipate without judgment. The judgment, remember, judging stops the peacefulness of the mind. The judgment, once we begin judging a thought, we begin creating anxiety. So contemplation is judgment. Calculation through the mind comes through judgment. So we must dissipate judgment so then we can begin watching. That's all I wanted to say.